going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into the channel. This is going to be a pretty quick video, more of an updated version to my previous one a couple months back. We've had an update, and you just play the game a little bit more. You learn some new things. You play with some other people. You pick up some tactics. And I just wanted to give an updated chipping tutorial. Chipping pretty much anything inside 50 yards on what I prefer to use. In my previous video, you'll see that I say the flop shot is the best shot, which I still highly recommend the flop shot. It is a great shot to use, but just in case the flop shot isn't working for you, I'm going to come at you with another option that you can use, which is going to be the chipping and the splash shot. We're going to go through a whole bunch here on how to use them appropriately. I know this isn't a new tactic whatsoever. Everyone has their own personal preference on how they get it done, but it's all about hitting closer to the hole, possibly chipping in more to lower your scores. So I know a lot of people I have played definitely use methods like this, but I figured why not give you an update, because I do use the flop shot quite a bit, but I've been finding myself using more of the splash shot as well as more of the chip shot any chance I can get. So I'm just going to hit a bunch of them here and kind of just like talk you through it and the different types that I can do, as well as using different clubs and what exactly happens. First thing I want to mention is the lie penalty. I have noticed there isn't a great deal of lie penalty when it comes to chipping, especially on the splash shot. You'll lose a little bit, so if it's in like a 70% zone, you will probably lose maybe a yard or two from what it's at. So you just have to aim a little bit by the hole. Chipping anything in the 70% or lower will obviously hurt you. It won't carry as far. But the most important thing you need to know is whether you're hitting off the fringe, whether you're hitting off the fairway, and whether you're hitting off the rough. Anything you hit out of the rough will roll out a lot more because you can't spin the ball backwards. So we'll have to tackle that as well when it comes to spin. So let's look at this first one here. You can tackle two different options. You can either play the splash shot, which you go down to a lob wedge, and you can pull it back 70%, you get it right there, but the splash shot, for me, on my wedges, all get taken out only to 15 yards. I can't do anything more than that. So in this situation, since I'm only 15 yards away, I'm pretty much really close to the green side. It's not too far of a shot. I could hit the splash shot and just run it a little bit by the hole, but since we're going downhill here, I want to use the roll to my benefit. So we're going to go back to the lob wedge, and we're going to go to the chip. Alright, so if I hit R1, what the shot they were recommending me was a chip here. So the big differences between the chip, you have to pay attention to what club you're hitting. If you're hitting a lob wedge, it's essentially going to hit and then stop after maybe a 2-foot roll. The sand wedge is going to roll out probably double to almost triple that. So it's going to go out a little bit further. And then the gap wedge is going to obviously roll out an extended amount, probably somewhere about 10 to 12 yards to feet, depending on what you're using. And then lastly, the pitching wedge is what you're going to use. I don't chip anything over pitching wedge, just because the 9-iron and the 8-iron, there's just too much roll and you can't really contain on how close it goes. But if you play around with all of these, you get a good amount of feel for it, and the pitch is going to roll out a lot, so we don't want too much roll. So in this situation, we are going downhill to the right, so I'm essentially just trying to get it here to the top of this hill and then let the hill take it on its own. So if I use a gap wedge, I can use two options. I can hit the sand wedge, and then it will probably get there just a little bit short of the hole where we're in a 2-putt range, or I can use the gap wedge. And in the gap wedge, I'd usually pull it back a little bit, so that way it lands shorter and usually rolls all the way out. So in this situation, I'm going to use the gap wedge because below the hole, just short of the hole, there's a lot of breaks still, but past the hole, it seems a little bit flat. So I'm aiming out to the right here, and we're going to just knock this one down. And with the chips, you can be pretty accurate. Obviously, you have to play it just like a putt. And we'll feel it out. I got the vibration right there. We're hitting 100%. Oh, I didn't hit 100% there. But it's rolling. It's going down the hill. and that one rolls a little bit far. So the gap wedge will roll a little bit far depending on the hill. So in this situation here, I'd 100% hit a splash shot. The pitch shot has been improved. It's definitely a little bit faster, so it's definitely in a good range. You can use the pitch shot if you prefer. If you really master it, I recommend practicing the pitch shot as much as possible. You can use the flop shot. It will stop pretty quickly. But the splash shot, you hit it a little bit lower. Very similar to the chip shot, you have to pay attention to which wedge you're hitting. So the lob wedge will almost stop pretty much immediately if you hit the splash shot. The sand wedge will roll out a smidge. The gap wedge will roll out an extended amount. And then the pitching wedge will roll out an extended amount after that. So in this situation, I don't want to hit lob. Obviously, I'm not going to make it to the hole. I don't want to hit splash. I got an 80% lie. I do want to hit splash. How much is this going to roll out, right? So you got to think at the 80%, it's going to be a little bit short of this. So I'd rather hit this shot right here. Pull it back a smidge. Just so that I'm hoping that it lands here and it's going to roll out a little bit because I'm using the gap wedge. So I feel the vibration right there with my hands. It rolls out. I pulled that a little bit, but that's the distance that we're looking for. When you play the splash shot, when you hit fast, it's obviously going to drastically go because these are more of like around the green shots. When you hit fade shots, they're going to go more to the right, more to the left. It really just depends if you hit fast or slow. I'm currently on master difficulty, so it's going to have more of an exaggerated effect than anything. So let's use, show you the pitch. So if I hit pitch, watch how much this goes by the hole. And the pitch was the right one there. So we're hitting pretty good. So I was about 10 yards short on that. It rolled up perfectly. So let's hit the splash shot. Alright, so we're at 74%. So I would aim just about the hole because we are in the rough. It's going to roll out a little bit. And we don't need to account for the wind. Account for the green a little bit. Feel the hands, the vibration. Rolled right up there. Alright, 15 yards away. Let's hit this splash shot here. Pull it all the way back. 68%. So it's a pretty tough. So I would go a little bit past it. It's going to roll a little bit, but it's going to be affected slightly. And we're making that all day. Splash shots out of the bunker all day. We'll stop this really quickly. We're hitting right next to it. Let's say we're going to this flag right there. Alright, so we're going to this flag right there. I don't want to hit a splash shot. I could hit a splash shot. Say I want to use the chip. Master the chip. So if you see, you get 7 yards, 8 yards, 9 yards. So 8 yards, 7 yards with the lob wedge, it's going to probably stop pretty quickly. So sand wedge probably won't be able to roll out either. So let's go gap wedge. It's going to roll out a good amount. And we're going to pull it back. And it'll probably roll out about 3 squares. You got to hit it full. Aim right at the hole. It rolls right up there. The chip is probably your best friend. Let it roll right on down. Just like a putt. We can make that. Alright, hope these tips helped. Definitely recommend using the splash shot and the chip shot as much as possible. If you're on the fringe or in the fairway, chip it. That is going to get you as close as possible. If you are in a range outside of 12 yards or so, the splash shot will get you the closest. As always, the flop shot can be a very beneficial shot for you. I highly don't recommend of never using it, but in a situation, the splash shot and the flop shot are pretty much the same exact, except one goes higher than the other. So thanks for tuning into the channel. You guys know what to do. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you get this content. And thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.